Stop wasting time and get serious with your business. Welcome to the Birth and Baby Business Podcast Show. This is Liz from BABA, the Birth and Baby Business Academy.
And I'm Anna, and I'm the other half of the Birth and Baby Business Academy. And we're talking about how and why we waste time in our business. Something we come across quite a lot, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely we do. So there might be some tough love incoming. Let's see how we go. So we don't really do tough love, do we? We're warm and nurturing and empathetic and all of that sort of stuff. But sometimes I think a few home truths or a bit of tough love can actually be really, really useful. I know we've found it helpful in the past when we've worked with mentors and coaches, and they've just said, like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Are you serious about this or not? And then you do have to really question yourself and go, no, I am really serious. I'm going to have to do this. But yeah, so what we wanted to address was really some of the fears that come up around business, no matter what stage of business you're at, whether you are a brave beginner, as we like to call them, or, you know, maybe you are I've forgotten the name of it.
An aspirational evolver, a big ideas innovator.
That's it. Yes, exactly. We've named these stages and they're still new to us, but it doesn't matter what stage of business you are actually at. Your fears are going to probably be very similar all the way through. And it's just kind of learning to work through those fears and like do it anyway. So what are some of the fears that we think people have?
Yeah, I think often we are very familiar with the fear of failure and feeling like we're going to fail in our business. But actually, something I'd love to bring up is a fear of success, because I often think that is a really juicy fear that we don't we don't give it any time, because you're like, well, of course I want success. That's what I'm doing this for. Of course I want that. Whatever success might be for you. I'm not saying success means anything. It's different for all of us. And FYI, it's quite useful to work out what success means to you. But yeah, I think there's definitely a really common fear for people, which is like, well, what if this does go really well? What does that mean for me, my life? Who have I got to be? What do my days look like? Will I have to have a complete personality transplant? Will I never see my kids? All that kind of stuff comes up about what it might mean about you know, especially when it comes to our values and our beliefs.
Yeah, definitely. So it might be like, oh, I want to be successful, but I don't want to be that successful, you know? So then you're kind of putting a cap on how successful you're going to be. Or maybe it could be that you had parents that were like workaholics and you hardly saw them and they were very successful in terms of whatever their career was or their business was, but it jeopardized something else in their lives. Or, you know, it could be the other way around. It could be that you had parents who were like there all the time and their jobs were just something that they did to kind of, you know, it wasn't fulfilling for them. It was just a job. And you kind of, you know, you're unsure about how your success fits in with that because it wasn't, you know, role model to you. So there can be so many reasons why we're kind of putting blockers on success. It could be that there's somebody that you admire, that you followed, that you suddenly realize that them being that successful means that, I don't know, they're not a very nice person, or that they have marital problems, or they never see their kids. And then in your mind, you're like, oh yeah, well, I want to be successful, but I don't want to be that successful. Yeah. So it's kind of really putting the blockers on your ability to grow your business, and maybe like even capping things, like giving you a ceiling. So if you feel like you're in your business and you're like, I just can't move anywhere, I can't move further forward, it could be because you're actually blocking it for some reason.
Yeah, I think a real common, especially in our world, the birth and baby world, because we are like of a caring, empathetic nature, and we're quite often people pleasers. So there can be a real fear about earning money. What does it mean if I did earn a certain amount of money. And I just want to say, most birth and baby businesses are nowhere near the sort of money that they're probably afraid of earning. But even so, that fear of, oh, but what if it did take off and this happened? What does that say about me as someone who earns, you know, a certain amount of money? I often feel bad that we have more income in our family than my parents ever had. Why? Like, why is that something to feel bad about? It's just strange. It's just odd, but it's definitely something there. So I think what we're saying here is to really, even if you think, oh, I'm not fearful of success, have a dig around in it. Like things like, what did success mean to me? What did I see as success growing up? You know, like you were saying, if you had somebody who worked all the time and you didn't get the love, care and attention that you really needed as a child, you might be equating success, inverted commas, with that not being a good parent, or not being the parent that your child needs, or, you know, feeling abandoned, or, you know, you can really go quite deep on this stuff, because it is these deep things that stops us taking the actions in our business that we need to be taking. And that is what this episode is about. It's about we need to say, you know, we need to, if you really want something, then you've got to, there are parts of ourselves that we have to change, not our personality or our values or even our beliefs, you know, maybe some of the beliefs around money, because they're often a bit out there with the conditioning that we've had. But, you know, you don't have to change who you are. That's what I mean. Like if parenting is the most important thing to you and you want to be able to have flexibility and spend time with your kids and be present for them, you can absolutely be a successful business owner and do that at the same time. To run a successful business doesn't have to look like anybody else that you follow, because it's you, it's your life, it's your, you know, your decisions. But, you know, if you're faffing around all day, you know, trying to create TikToks and, you know, whatever else it is that we know a lot of people spend time doing, that, you know, and not doing things like reaching out to other people, making sales, you know, really working out the numbers, the figures, the amount of income you need to bring in and how many customers you need for that, that really kind of, those important business tasks, then there will be stuff underneath that is stopping you from doing that. So really, you know, use this episode to think about writing down, journaling, having a conversation with someone about all the things that are fears to you, including the fear of success. So what other fears do we see coming up?
Wow, I think a really big fear that a lot of people have in the birth and baby world is being seen. So being like really being visible. It's almost like I want to have this business and I want to share my skills and my knowledge and I want to make a difference, but I don't want anyone to see me doing it. You know,
I just want people to come to you like through some kind of mind.
I know.
Mind reading.
And I'm laughing because that really resonates with me. Like right at the beginning, you know, when I was absolutely fine, like before social media really became a thing. I was just reaching out my local network. I was building my local community. I was building a local business that way. And social media was just something kind of in the background. And then when all of the like new things came out, like live streaming, I remember thinking, oh God, absolutely not. That is not for me. People will see me and they'll like, you know, they'll hear what I've got to say, and what if I say something wrong, and what if I'm boring, and what if no one wants to hear me, and what if my uncle so-and-so or my auntie so-and-so sees it, or my cousin on the other side of the world, you know, and what if they're talking about me, and what if that person I went to school with who used to call me Ginger all the time, what if they like what if they see me doing it? You know, you got all of these thoughts that come up and you feel really vulnerable, and you're just like, no, I'm not going to do that. But the thing is, when you've got a business, no matter what business it is, but particularly in the birth and baby world, because we do have, if you're working in pregnancy, we've got a very quick churn of clients, because obviously they're only pregnant for a certain amount of time. So we have to be so visible, even more visible than, you know, a lot of other businesses, if we want to grow our audience. And we have to grow our audience in order to be able to keep up that churn of clients. So we've got to get over that fear. We've got to move through it, and we've got to become visible. And it's not always going live on social media. That's just an example. There are other things that we're afraid of doing, that we're not doing, which are stopping us from being visible and from people really knowing who we are and what we offer.
Yeah, and I think that comes into people-pleasing tendencies as well, because we often don't want to bother people. Well, I've shared that. I don't want to like keep going on about it, but if you want something to sell, unless you have a really big network that's already kind of there. We had a new member this week actually, and she shared that she's she's just started and she's already filled her classes, and I was like great, and I'd love to get to know her and find out a bit more about that. But I also know that there will have been a process to that before she actually started, that meant she had a network or something that meant that she could fill her classes quite quickly, and there was obviously a real need in her area and all of that kind of stuff. But I think at the same time, for most of us, we're going to have to share a huge amount if we want to sell anything, until you're bored of it, until you feel like you've bothered people too much, and that is just the nature of the game. And we've even been talking today about how we are going to get more visible in Baba, and we're pretty visible. We're pretty much out there every day, 7 days a week, talking about what we do, but we know that we need to step it up. So it's a big thing, and you're not bothering people. It's very simple. If there's somebody on Instagram who is going on about something I'm not interested in, I just stop following them. Or if I'm getting sent emails from somebody, in fact, Google even tells me now, you're not opening these emails. Do you want to unsubscribe? And I can either say yes or no. But, everyone has an unsubscribe button. So it's very easy for people to turn you off if they're not interested. And that's great for you because they're not your ideal client. So, you don't really want them in your email list. So the visibility thing is like a habit that you have to build up over time, and it's also a skill that you have to build up over time, to be gentle with yourself at first, because it will feel vulnerable, but before you know it, it will become second nature. But it is probably the most important thing in your business, I'd say. Pretty much you've got to be visible if you're selling something.
100%. So maybe one more fear before we move on to thinking about some of the emotions and behaviors that people experience when they're feeling like this. But one thing I was thinking, we hear a lot of this, is, oh, I don't know enough, or I'm not qualified enough, or there are people out there who know more than me, or etc. And what we find, and this is more of a behavior, but what we do find is that birth and baby businesses will go from one training course to another training course to another training course. So I've got to do more, I've got to know more. And I think that can be, so when they think, oh, my business, I'm not getting enough clients, sometimes they think, oh, it's because I'm not offering the right service, or it's because I don't know enough about this particular offering. And usually it's never that. It's usually that you're just not being visible enough, or you're not promoting your services enough. You don't have enough belief in yourself in order to really put yourself out there. So
actually, it's a great distraction to do more training from doing the actual things that you need to do. It's a great way to feel busy without actually growing your business. Doing extra training courses isn't growing your business. I totally get everything you're saying, and I agree. A lot of people are like, oh, well, if I just did baby massage, or if I just did breastfeeding support, then that's going to make all the differences in my business. It does expand your services. There's nothing wrong with that. We're both huge fans of that. However, that is not what's going to grow your business. What's going to grow your business is doing the things like getting visible, like being consistent. I'm not really a huge fan of that word, but you do have to keep at it and keep going. Those are the things that are going to make a difference to your business, not getting more and more qualifications. So I completely agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. And so there's going to be endless fears. We could be here forever. But some of the things that sort of come up for people, so the emotions there, that they can feel like maybe frightened of moving forward, doing the things that they maybe know that they need to do, or that they're stopping themselves from doing. So feeling frightened, and maybe feeling anxious and worried, and just not, you end up just not enjoying your business when you feel that way, when those fears are kind of really taking over and consuming your business. And we want all birth and baby business owners to feel joy in their business, so this is where some of our rituals really come in. So Anna mentioned journaling earlier, which is a staple for both of us and has been since very early days in our businesses. And there are other things as well that you can do to just help you move away from those kinds of feelings, like affirmations and like somatic movement and various other things. In fact, go and download our 5 essential rituals to break through your business blocks. We'll put the link below. That will really help you to understand some of the things that you can do in your business to move through some of these stuck emotions, to change your behaviors, and to help you to become the business owner that you want to be.
Yeah, I think there's the 2 steps here. There's the understanding why you're behaving the way you are, recognizing it, understanding it, and then changing the behavior. And part of the understanding of it is going to be uncomfortable. A lot of this stuff brings up shame. It brings up, embarrassment. It brings up, we have to face parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily want to face. But we've done a lot of it. We've done a huge amount to become more more visible. You did have to uncover some of that stuff. Same for me. I had to uncover some things that, was stopping me from putting myself out there, for asking for the sale, asking for the right amount of money for my services, which has been a big one for me. All those things they weren't just decisions I made one day. I needed to figure a lot of stuff out to make those decisions. So that has got to be a big part of being a business owner, is personal growth and personal what's the word, excavation.
Like that. I like that word. So people might be listening to this and thinking, oh, you know what, I don't know if I do that. So I would just challenge you to maybe examine your behaviors a little bit. So do you find yourself procrastinating? Are you stuck in procrastination and thinking, shall I do this or shall I do that? And if I do that, what happens if I do this? And maybe I should do that training course, or maybe I should, blah, blah, blah. There might be a lot of procrastination going on. You might
just go and do the washing up instead of doing any of that.
Which needs doing. It needs doing, but it might be, another behavior might be that you don't have enough time, or you feel that you don't have enough time, but some once you get into a flow of things, some things don't take an awful lot of time. What takes a lot of time is procrastinating over stuff. Whereas if you can move through the procrastination, which is what we're suggesting, with the rituals, with the kind of reflection, with the excavation of your feelings and things like that, you can start to uncover and realize why you have certain behaviors, and we've all done that, haven't we, in terms of like, oh no, I can't do that, I don't have enough time. But
once you've done the work or started on the work, then it's much easier to take the action, and then you realize that you have got the time, because some of the actions, like for example, sending a text message or an email to somebody who inquired, takes minutes. It's a quick thing. You can literally do it in your phone, in the palm of your hand, wherever you are in the world. It doesn't take time to reach out to a few people on social media. Like, it's that, I can't emphasize how much that is a behavior that you need to change, is reaching out to people, communicating with people, building relationships, because that's where sales come from. So those things, which are the most powerful things, actually take very, very little time.
Yeah, definitely. Other behaviors are maybe like not believing in themselves, so they kind of hide themselves away. So again, it's kind of like working on that underlying emotion and belief about themselves. yeah, there's like a whole range of things
I think
that we
avoidance,
avoidance,
procrastination
that
is
was a good
one,
one.
but avoiding an activity, like avoiding going live or avoiding sending a text message because you feel like, oh, I don't want to bother them. Or,
Mm.
I was coaching a client once and she said, well, I've had 2 people that are interested in the course, but I haven't heard back from them, so I'm assuming they're not going. I said, why are you assuming they're not coming? And I said, do you know why they haven't contacted you? She's like, no. I was like, well, maybe they just haven't got around to booking it. Or maybe they've got childcare problems. And she came back to me about half an hour later. She's like, oh yeah, one of them's got childcare problems. So I've encouraged her to think outside the box and see if she can find someone, that kind of thing. So I think we often tell ourselves a lot of stories about what our clients are thinking. And in truth, we're just making excuses so that we don't have to take an uncomfortable action. But the more you take those actions, the more you realize they're just everyday business tasks. That's all they are.
Yeah, 100%. And that's such a key thing, is we make up stories about what people think, what they're doing, why they're not doing something. Don't what an old boss of mine once said, never assume anything, Liz, because it makes an ass out of you and me. Assume, so you get it? So I never assume anything anymore. You have to wait for that person to tell. If they're going to tell you no, let them tell you no, that they don't want to book onto your class, but assume that they are going to book until they tell you that they're not going to book, and
especially
you have to keep that follow-up.
Especially if they've taken that step towards you and they've shown you they're interested, then go ahead. Obviously, if someone said to you, no, I'm not interested, then continuing to pursue them is like stalking. That's not right. But
I don't want you to do that.
if they haven't said that, if they have taken a step towards you and your service and showed an interest, then absolutely, they need to know what you've got to offer so they can figure out if it's the right thing for them or not. If you don't share that with them, then they can't. So you've got to take those actions. So that's what today's episode's about. So I'm really hoping this has been, a loving kick up the backside. I love a bit of a kick up the backside every now and again, and always need them in business. And I think I'd love to share about our membership, because the membership really helps you to figure out all of these levels of things, like what is going on, what is it you want to achieve in your business, what is it that's holding you back, and then we give you tools that help you to move through that, and then we give you business information so that you can take the right actions, the actions that are actually really going to make a difference to you getting sales, to you building your business, growing your business, being happy in your business, all of those things. It is just £25 a month. That is it. And the doors close tonight. So
if you're listening to this on Monday the 6th,
which hopefully you are. If you're not, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait till the doors open next time. But we'd really love you as a serious business owner, as somebody who really does want to, reach your goals in business. We'd really love you to come and join the community, because it is a place for information, guidance, support, but also that sort of tough love every now and again when you need it.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for listening, and hopefully we'll see you in the membership.
Bye.
Bye.